It is the Brewers and the Mets now tied again for the wild card lead. Both teams a game behind Philadelphia. Let's face off now, brought to you by Empire City Gaming at Yonkers Raceway. The Moose is here, Mark Malusis and Jonas Schwartz as well. Man, talk about right up to the moment, fellas. Let's begin with Pedro Martinez here. He did have 9 strikeouts for the Mets. Did you see enough moves from Pedro tonight to believe that if the Mets can get to the postseason, he can be a reliable starter at this point?
Gary, no. I mean, to be honest with you, no. And I understand, listen, I feel for Pedro. Obviously, he's not the pitcher he was 6 years ago, Jonas, and the velocity's not there. But what you saw tonight from Lou Piniella, you saw the Iowa Cubs. I mean, that's what you saw. And if they had their A lineup in there, Pedro Martinez would have gotten hit. It would have gotten hit a lot harder than he did this evening. He has not pitched well in the last, basically this entire year, but the last 5-6 starts, he's been really bad. I know he's going to get a start in the postseason. I don't think he's going to pitch well there, should the Mets make it.
I mean, you could see him getting bombed easily. I think he could give you 3 or 4 good innings, and then you'd have to pull him because he can only go so far. And if he puts those 3 or 4 good innings together, you're really stolen something. But it's hard to trust him in this spot. He hasn't made the full adjustment like Mike Messina has to mixing his pitches yet. He's still trying to figure all that out, Moose. So, I mean, I think you're right. It would be a tough start for him.
I mean, I totally agree. And you saw an emotional Pedro waving goodbye to Shea. Maybe this is his final start, depending on now with the Brewers' heroics with the Braun Grand Slam. The Mets now tied with Milwaukee, 3 games to go. You know, maybe this is the final start Pedro does see at Shea.
One of the big questions, I think, tonight, guys, and again, dramatics for the Mets, dramatics for the Brewers. This is what a pennant race is supposed to be like. Did the Mets, Mark, save their season tonight?
Oh, they did. I mean, they did. If Milwaukee took a 1-game lead going into this weekend, Gary, Mets weren't going to make the postseason. It'll be interesting to see what Piniella does with the Cubs over the weekend against the Brewers. But, yeah, tonight, Jonas, the Mets with that comeback after the half-power 3-run shot off Ricardo Rincon. I've seen enough of Rincon out of the bullpen, by the way, enough of these Mets relievers. You know, you saw this team start to inch their way back, and this doing the small things, and still there were things that they beat themselves with, but this was an emotional victory, a nice resiliency that they continue to show, Jonas. If they lost tonight, I think it would have been over.
Well, they saved it until tomorrow. I mean, you know, look, I think with the way this team plays, there's a heartbreaker just around the corner, unfortunately. And, I mean, they still made some bad plays. Daniel Murphy bunting with 2 strikes was one of the worst things I have seen in a very long time. I mean, so they didn't play the game very, very well, but they did show heart. They came back, and they do survive. Really stretches through the weekend, but I don't sit here feeling good like they're going to take care of things this weekend.
No, but tonight, listen, there were a couple things. Church should have followed Beltran late in that game on the double steal, and you heard Jerry Manuel say that Murphy made a mistake. He took the bunt sign off after his first bunt attempted to swing away. So obviously the third base coach, Luis Aguayo, basically sends everybody around third base. He should have pulled Murphy aside and told him, you know what, swing the bat. He looked absolutely awful up there trying to bunt the ball.
You know the only thing that's going to spare us from seeing the bullpen? The rain tomorrow. That's it.
Well, the Mets now have 3 left with, let's see, 3 left with the Marlins over the weekend, and Milwaukee has 3 left with the Cubs, and so that's what it comes down to. Philadelphia also has 3 now because they had the day off today.